He's become one of the most important players at Georgia because he's playing center on the offensive line. Sedrick Van Pran, who came into a season ago trying to lock down the starting center spot with competition from Jamari, etc., um, has been will return as one of the key cogs in an offensive line that more and more is looking like it could and should be or the strength of the Georgia's offense, if not the team. You're allowed to you're allowed to have different strengths in different years, and in Georgia's case, the offensive line is something I would look at and say, hey, these guys look like they could be the real deal. Well, here's what Cedric Van Pran had to say to reporters um, this past week about confidence and where he's at with the offensive line. He said, I would call it more comfortable. I think I'm very comfortable in the system right now. Still pushing to learn and taking notes on things like inside zone, just trying to get better. But honestly, I feel comfortable, way more comfortable playing football at this point in my career. Let's talk about the offensive line just for a second. When you look globally at you know football, uh, there are a few spots that really pop out. Center is one of those spots. It is usually not sufficiently talked about position, but you have to have not just a functional center, but a good center. Okay, why? Well, the center is basically the quarterback's, you know, check. When you have a young quarterback, in the case of somebody like Jacob Eason or even Jake Fromm, having an older center to establish what's what out there in the world that you're looking at, the front seven, that's really important. It helps you shift coverages, protections, slide guys left and right. The center confirms what the quarterback is seeing. And honestly, the center has to be a pretty smart person, you know, and that's why Van Pran playing as well as he did this past season was so important because he's combining his intellect, for lack of a better term, with his physical tools and skills. When you look at Georgia's offensive line, there's still going to be some movement here, but if your center is locked in and doing well, then you're on the way to having success. Um, I did want to make sure y'all are picking up DAWGSTRUCTION. We're going to be in the 5th printing soon. Make sure you're getting this. It's already time for graduation and Father's Day. I'm going to let you know right now, as a father, if you got a dad and they don't have this book and they're big Georgia fans, you will win the day. Kirby always talks about attacking the day. You will win the day on Father's Day with that. In order to get it to you on time, please order it now. You have plenty of time before Father's Day. I don't want to get into the 5th run and we're kind of coming on top of Father's Day. Don't do that. And graduation is obviously quicker than that. When you start looking at the offensive line, from left to right, this is what it was during practice yesterday, which is Tuesday. Broderick Jones at left tackle, Xavier Truss at left guard, Van Pran at center, Warren Erickson at right guard, Warren McClendon at right tackle. Amarius Mims was working in there at tackle behind Warren McClendon. That's a pretty good offensive line. That's an offensive line that's going to give a lot of people problems. It remains to be seen if it's a set offensive line. I mean, you've got Mims, you've got Tate Ratledge, Blasky is around. Uh, there are a lot of guys who, if you look at the group at Georgia, these guys are typically, not all, but typically are entering their sophomore seasons. These are not older guys like Jamari was a season ago, but they're good. Now, I mean, I'm just saying straight up, I don't know if Warren Erickson is going to hold off Tate Ratledge. I don't know if Warren Erickson would hold off Xavier Truss, but Warren Erickson is an ideal person to have in this group of 8 that you're fighting for starting positions as well as positions where you're playing. There is no shame in being in the rotation on the offensive line at Georgia during their heydays right now. So I think you're going to see Georgia rotate some. There's just too many good offensive linemen for a person to play all the time, and no one else play in that position. You know, if Amarius Mims is pushing Warren McClendon, then there you go. Has Broderick Jones come into his own and locked down left tackle? No, he's not. He may be coming into his own. Locked down? No, it's March. So there is no locking down. They switched in the national championship game to Broderick being at left tackle. And no, I still have not watched the game. I've got to watch that game. But that made a big difference in the fourth quarter. That's when all these big plays happened for the Dogs. And you've got a combination now of returning. Your battery is back. You've got Van Pran coming back and Stetson Bennett, who is entering his 6th year of college football. Okay, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 6th year of college football. So they've got some real data that they can go through all of the time. You can't imagine that that duo is going to get fooled that often. Now, there are times you don't play well. I think Aaron Murray has pointed out in the past that Stetson does get fooled or has gotten fooled and admitted, hey, I would have gotten fooled by this. But that was coverage stuff. That's not necessarily the front, okay, which also can be coverage. I know that. But I mean the establishing things with the front, with your center and your quarterback, your signal caller. I just find it hard to believe that these two are going to get confused. Now, Van Pran, entering his 3rd year in the program, a top 300 player, Louisiana native, LSU let him get away. If you want to put it like that. I don't know if you can really characterize things that way anymore, right? But I'm sure LSU would like Sedrick Van Pran to be a part of their offensive line. That he's playing center shows just the skill intellectually that he's got. You're not going to play center and be dumb. It's just not going to happen. So there's a lot of responsibility that he is calling himself comfortable in that spot. Tells you that Georgia's along the way. We talked about this yesterday, this morning, y'all saw it, about Georgia not having a very good practice yesterday. It's up to the guys that I'm talking about, Stetson, Sedrick Van Pran, to make sure that they are having good practices, or at least doing their part to make sure that happens. That's up to them. And it is important. Practices matter. They really matter a lot because you have such little time. But that Sedrick is saying that he is comfortable, I think, is a good indicator that Georgia's along the way. With the offensive line, you've got the outline of where they're going with this line. I mean, Van Pran being displaced at center would surprise me. Okay. At tackle, you got some, that's a different situation. There's so many different players. I want to know, where is Georgia going if Sedrick gets hurt? Would Warren Erickson slide right there? There's reasons to rotate guys and to play them. You do not want to depend on any one player. Make sure you're picking up on DAWGSTRUCTION. It's down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.